So that was a very tough act to follow. Thank you for also making me emotional. Wow. Okay. I just want to start off by thanking Wow Women for having me here, for you guys for coming out and taking time out, especially the ones that did come for me. Thank you. I am going to start with a trigger warning because that's what I always do. It might trigger some of you, so just, gear up. So I'm just gonna get down to business. Okay, so the moment I walked in here, you probably all made some sort of assumption about me. And that's okay, we're all human. We do that. We do that all the time. We put people into categories before they even open their mouths. But here's the thing, most of us are running on outdated software that teaches us how to qualify and quantify people the minute we see them. Our brains are using a filing system that was built by centuries of bias, misinformation, and let's be real, a lot of racism and capitalism. Take body size, for example. Did you know that in many ancient cultures, being fat was a flex? It meant you were wealthy, healthy, and powerful. In some societies, artists painted bigger bodies as a symbol of resilience and survival. So when you fast forward that to today, now the second somebody gains weight, it's a public crisis. Why? Because at some point, the diet industry realized that if they could convince people to hate their own bodies, they could sell them anything. And they did. They sold us diets, workout plans, weight loss pills, skinny teas, which are just expensive laxatives, by the way. And we ate it up. Quite literally. They even messed with science, if you can believe that. Ever heard of the BMI scale? I'm sure that you did. Most of us that walk into any doctor's appointment looking a certain way will be given the reference of the BMI scale. आपका ठीक नहीं है, लगता है कि आप थोड़ा सा over हैं, थोड़ा सा under हैं. So fun fact, it was never designed to measure individual health. It's based on a formula created by a white mathematician in the 1800s, who was studying populations, not people. It wasn't even meant for medical use, and it definitely wasn't designed for women, black bodies, or South Asian bodies. Yet here we are letting it define our worth. And trust me, I know this game. I have been fighting this game ever since I was a child. For almost a decade, from the ages of perhaps 10 to 21, I had an eating disorder. I didn't even know it. And most of us actually don't know that we have them. I thought I took up too much space, or that I ate too much, or that I was too much. Like I was literally just following a diet for most of my life. And the world kept also reinforcing it, right? Every time I lost weight, people would praise me like I just literally cured cancer. Wow, itni achhi lag rahi ho. We've all heard these things. And every time, it didn't matter if I was exhausted, unhappy, or struggling. What mattered was that I was smaller. And I believed them. Until one day, I didn't. At 21, I made the radical decision that I was done hating myself. Done chasing a beauty standard that every time I tried to reach it, it just kept moving further and further away. I was done letting strangers dictate how I should feel about my own body. So instead of trying to shrink myself, I focused on growing, on expanding, on growing my kindness or my empathy, my creativity. And for the first time ever, I actually started liking myself, which seems easy, but it's actually a miracle. And if you've had any body image struggles, you know how difficult it is to sometimes even look in the mirror. Not because my body had changed. That's not why I was happy, but it's because I started changing my perspective. And here's the wild part, right? Like, this isn't just my story. I talk to thousands of people every day, and it's probably just like 5 out of 100 that have said, yeah, I like my body, but most and majority always hate some part of them. And why is that? We're trained to believe some bodies are more valuable than others, that thinner is better, that beauty equals worth. And all of this is wrapped up in a system that is deeply rooted in colonialism, capitalism, sexism, and racism. We're even taught to fear fatness. Think about it. If someone you know gains weight, people treat it like a tragedy, like, oh no, my God, kya ho gaya tha? Did you see her daughter? Did you see her mother? It's automatically a failure. And if someone loses weight, it's the opposite. It's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, you really put in so much effort. Oh, bechare agar kar bhi rahe honge, that's just not seen. And we never stop to ask, like, are they even okay? Like, what did they do to get here? We never considered that they might have lost weight because of stress or grief or an illness or depression. We've been so conditioned to celebrate shrinking that we don't even think about the cost. So my research on body politics for the past 8 to 9 years has been trying to decipher all of this. My thesis, which was Pigs, Cows, and Gluttons, Our Obsession with Body Image, was about this. So I categorize fat people into 3 categories. One is pigs. Fat people are seen as greedy, like they lack self-control. But why? Because we live in a world that equates beauty with morality. If you don't fit the standard, you must be doing something wrong. The second is cows, which is that fat people are seen as either lazy or unhealthy. But research proves that weight does not equal health. In fact, focusing only on weight instead of mental and emotional well-being is way more dangerous. Gluttons, and this one is my favorite. If a fat person actually likes themselves, if they dare to be happy, society labels them as shameless. And I just have one thing to say to that. If loving yourself or trying to accept your body in whatever form it comes in is an act of rebellion, then sign me up. Beauty standards are a scam. They are designed to keep moving forward every time you try to reach them, every time you start to feel like you're enough. In the Renaissance, full-figured women were idolized. In the 1920s, thin and boyish was in. The 1950s wanted an hourglass, think Marilyn Monroe. The 90s went full heroin chic, and then we swung back to Kim Kardashian, right? And now, thin is trending again. Think about how ridiculous that is. Even if you just think about that, that's insane. Because bodies are not trends. Your body is not a vessel from which fashion just derives all of its meaning, right? Yet here we are, again, spending millions and thousands of our hard-earned money to try to meet a standard that's literally designed to be unattainable. So what do? For starters, let's stop being weird when it comes to talking about our bodies. We need to stop assuming that thin equals healthy and fat equals unhealthy. We need to stop giving unsolicited advice in the name of concern. And most importantly, we need to start questioning who profits off of our insecurities. For me, the first step was curating my own space. I unfollowed every page that spoke about diet culture. I started reading about body politics. I started educating myself. And I started setting boundaries. And I lost a lot of friends. I stopped talking to a lot of family members because they took it as an offense. Because I was done talking about my body like it was public property, like anybody could just comment on it. I'm not okay with that. And I promise that it's worth it. These boundaries are worth it. So here I am, in a body that takes up space. A body that carries me through life, a body that changes and evolves and survives as it's meant to do. And I refuse to apologize for that. I want to live in a world where beauty isn't just about size, where children aren't taught to hate themselves and starve themselves before they even understand who they are, where we don't judge people's worth based on how closely they fit an edited, photoshopped, filtered, and unrealistic ideal. Because at the end of the day, every single person in this room has felt like they weren't enough. We've all looked in the mirror and wished we could change something. We've all felt the pressure to fit in. And if there's anything we can do to make this world a little safer, a little more kinder, a little easier for the people coming after us, then I think we should at least try. Because real beauty isn't in the size of our bodies, it's in the way we live inside them. Thank you.